Welcome everyone to Dynamics Bytes on USG. I am Saurabh Bharti, a senior solution architect at FastTrack. This is part 5 of Dynamics Bytes for USG series, and today's topic is security tasks under the process hierarchy. Today's agenda is that we will be covering different options under the security task process hierarchy and different ways to utilize those different options. We will also go through the demo for each of the security tasks option available under the process hierarchy. Now, before we start talking about the different security task options, let's first understand what is security task. Under the process hierarchy are the key processes that a given role completes in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations app to perform its specific duty. And this feature lets system administrators convert these processes into individual tasks and multiple functionalities that those tasks supports. Under the process hierarchy, you will find these different options for managing your security task. Segregation of duties prevents the duties that have overlapping privileges and the roles that have overlapping responsibilities. The segregation of duties can be enabled on the parameters page. After you create a new task and assign a entry point to it, you can validate the percentage of overlapping duties. You can set up a segregation of duty rules to prevent users from saving conflict duties. The next option which you have is privilege separation validation. Privilege separation validation is more focused on privileges that are assigned to a role. After you create a new task, assign entry points to it, you can validate the percentage of overlapping privileges similar to the segregation of duties. The next option which you have is load from the task recordings. And this is one of the option which we have seen in our previous bytes where we created the security task and converted them into duties using the task recording. The next one which you have is load from user or the role or the security existing security objects. This option helps convert the entry points from existing user accounts or roles or including security tasks. After you select any existing user account or the role, the entry points are extracted and converted into the security task. System admin can have a starting point to design a new security role based on the existing users or the role. They can add, edit, or remove more entry points from the extracted entry points and define a new role with the new duties and the new privileges. The next option which you have is load from the existing task. This option helps you to reutilize a security task which you have already created and you want to utilize as part of another process hierarchy. The last option which we have here is the entry point subtraction. This helps in creating a new duty that is based on existing entry point by removing specific processes from that entry point. Select entry point subtraction option and then select an existing user role, privilege or duty to view the entry points, and you can remove any entry point that you don't want to create the new task. All these options are available under system admin security, security governance, security process role maintain, and we can find all these different options. Now, to understand these different options, let's try to understand using with a use case. USMF is preparing for user role creation using this new USG framework. And in that process, USMF has identified few standard roles like auditors to be reused in this process. USMF also wants to utilize the one task recording for multiple roles, security task or duty creation. In this process, USMF also wants to make sure and avoid creation of duplicate or similar duties and the privileges. USMF for the reuse of auditor role, USMF would like to exclude few entry points as well. Now, to complete this use case, we can utilize and explore all the different options which we are having under the security task for the process hierarchy. Now, let's get into the system and see a demo for each of these. Now, I am in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation, and I am taking my existing process hierarchy which I have created, and I have also used this process hierarchy in the previous bytes. Now, let's start exploring the different options. So, once I have a process name created here, I go and explore the security task tab. Now, in this tab, we have all those different options which we have just now spoken, which is segregation of duty validation, privilege validations, and then these different options which are there. Now, objective of all these different options to have these tasks created efficiently. Now, let's explore one of the first option, which is segregation of duties validation. Now, as we discussed, this option provides the similarity and the percent in terms of the percentage which it has with the existing objects in the system. Now, if you see, this is the duty which I am having vendor PO invoice. Now, it matches to the existing duties which we have in system, which is create and post PO invoice and AP vendor invoices, and it is matching exactly 100%. Now, you must be wondering how it is identifying this percentage and the similarity which we have. Now, this similarity and the percentage which we can define under the parameters for user security governance, and this is where we have the percentage which we can define here. Now, while creating the security task, if we have this, uh, if we have this similarity in terms of the security objects, we can reutilize the existing one rather than creating a new one here. Similarly, we also have a separation of privileges validation, which again helps us in understanding the existing privileges and compare the similarity percentage here and providing us all the details in terms of the number of objects it has and the percentage of similarity. Now, let's explore the next option, which is I want to create a security task using the existing role or privilege or the duty or any of the security object. So, for example, I have created a process name auditor here. Now, I do not want to create this from the scratch and I want to reutilize the existing auditor role here. Now, for that, I can just click on this option, load from security objects, and here I have different options for creating the security task. Now, this I can create based on user ID if it is an existing one, based on role, duty, or the privilege. This option is useful for the customers who are already having the roles defined and they are working as expected, and now they are adopting this user security governance framework so they can rebase their existing work and not to reinvent the wheel completely. Now, here I will take an example of the role, which is, let's say, auditor. I can select this. Now, I have two options here. I can add this as a complete reference if I don't want to make any changes in the entry points of this role. But if I want to make any changes in the existing entry points which it will inherit, I can keep this without the reference. So for now, let's say I want to just have this as a reference. I will just click on this and it will copy the copy this entire role for this security task. Now here I can just create a new duty for this and then I can add few more security tasks which I want to have under the auditor, or if don't, then I can just convert this into a specific role. Now let's explore another option here. Now another option is that you can load from the existing task. So now for example, I already have another process here where I have the security task for creation of purchase order invoice or vendor invoice journal. Now let's say for the auditor role as well, I want to add that as a one of the security tasks. So I need not to reinvent the wheel again. I can just go and say I want to load from existing task, and I can just take the task ID which I want to utilize here, and I can click on OK, and then it will copy the same task which I have under the different process name. Now, with this option, I make sure that I'm reutilizing a single task recording and the similar security task in on multiple process names and in multiple user roles where I want to utilize them. Now, the last one which we would explore here, we have explored the load from task recording, security objects in existing tasks. The last one under the security task is the entry point subtraction. Now, here we can extract the specific permissions which we want to exclude from a specific security task or the role or the duty or the privilege which we are adding under the security task. Now, in this example, I will click on new, and here I can load from one of the role, let's say from the auditor itself. If you want to ex- extract if you want to subtract some entry points here. Now this will load all the security objects here. I can click on the show table permissions options to just to look at the different table permissions which we have here. Now I can select whichever the permission or the security object I want to exclude from here. So for example, from this role, I have a permission which is about new and the post. And if I want to exclude them, I can just select them and click on add to exclude. Now, out of these all permission for this specific role, these are the permission which I want to exclude. Similarly, I can explore all the permissions which I want to subtract and select them and move here for the exclusion. I can click on the next, and then once I do the next, it will get added to my security task. So now here I can click on finish. Before clicking finish, you can also view all the permissions after excluding those entry points. Now once that is done, you have a security task with all the required entry points after you excluded which you did not want to have. So these were the different options where we can create the security task with the different options available and the use case for each one of them. Just to recap, load from task recording if you want to create a new task security task using the task recording by recording a process in the system. The next option which you had is that if you have already defined your security roles, duties, or privileges and you want to utilize them rather than creating the new one, you can utilize this option. Load from existing task. If you have created a task recording and created a security task at one process, if you want to utilize the same security task under the different process here, you can utilize this option here. Entry point subtraction. If you want to have one existing security object as a base and want to exclude certain permissions from there and then want to create a security task, you can utilize this option. Last but not the least, the segregation of duties validation and separation of privilege validations allows you to have a check of similarity with the existing object so that you can avoid creating duplicate or similar privileges in the duties. That's it for this byte. See you in the next one. Thank you.